All right, so here's the review for tomorrow's quiz. So the first one is complex solution to x squared minus 4x plus 53. So for this one, a is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 4, and c is equal to 53. And we plug it into the quadratic formula, we get x is equal to negative a negative 4 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is negative 4 squared, minus 4 times 1 times 53. All right, all over 2 times 1. All right, so this becomes 16 minus 212. And when we subtract those, we get x is equal to 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 196 divided by 2. So 196 is a perfect square. So this becomes the square root of 196 times negative 1. And the square root of 196 is 14. So we get 4 plus or minus 4, 14. I all over 2. And then we have this little triangle. We can divide everything by 2. So this becomes 1, this becomes 1, and this becomes 7. So this becomes, oops, this is a 2. 2 plus or minus 7i. So one of the roots would be 2. 2 plus 7i. All right. This one I would just plug in all of these into your calculator, make sure that the mode's on A plus BI mode, right? And so for 1, I would use n equal to 1, and I would do I raised to the 3 times 1 plus 1, which is equal to I to the 4th, which is equal to 1. 2, n is equal to 2. We have I to the 3 times 2 plus 1, which is equal to I to the 7th. And then you put that in your calculator. This one comes out to be negative I. The third one, n equal to 3. It's I to the 3 times 3, which is 9 plus 1. So this is I to the 10th, which is equal to negative 1. So this is choice number 3. All right, so 1 was 1, now we have 3. All right, so A is equal to 4 minus I and B is equal to 10 plus 3I. They want to know the value of 3A minus 4B. So we're going to take 3 and multiply it by 4 minus I, minus 4 times 10 plus 3I. Now, if you take that and put it in your calculator exactly the way you see with the parentheses and all, you'll get negative 28 minus 15i. All right, if you wanted to, you could have done 12 minus 3i, minus 40, minus 12i. And when you add those, 12i and negative 12i and negative 3i is negative 15i. And 12 minus 40 is negative 28. So this one was choice 2. What is the solution set of this one? This is A is equal to 1, B is equal to 4, and C is equal to 8. So if we plug it into the quadratic form, we get x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 8, all over 2 times 1. All right, so this becomes 16 minus 32. All right, so x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 16, all over 2. Now, negative 16, the square root of negative 16 is, square root of 16 is 4, and the square root of negative 1 is I. So we can replace the square root of 16 with 4i. So we end up with negative 4 plus or minus 4i over 2. And then we could divide all of these by 2. So we divide this by 2, we get negative 2. Divide this by 2, we get positive 2. This by 2, we get 1. So x is equal to negative 2 plus or minus 2i, which is choice number 3. All right. Number 5, okay? Which has imaginary roots. Imaginary zeros do not cross. X-intercepts that do not. That don't touch the x-axis, touch or intersect. So the one that doesn't touch the x-axis is number 4, right? This one is 1, 2. 1 is, there's 2 of them. It looks in the middle, so it's probably maybe a irrational number. 2, it touches in one place, and 4, it doesn't touch in any. All right, which of the following it will be? Now, this one, all we have to do, will have no real solution. So when we talk about the solutions, we can talk about just the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. For it to have no real solutions, it would have to be a negative number, so that's less than 0. So a is equal to 2, and b is equal to 6. So we end up with 6 squared minus 4 times 2 times c is less than 0. This becomes 30. Oh. Hold on, b is 3. I don't know where I got 6 from. B is 3. Right? So this should be 3 squared. All right. So this should be 9 minus 8c is less than 0. So we solve this, subtract 9 from both sides, and we get minus 8c, or negative 8c is less than negative 9. Then we divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8. I get c is greater than, because I have to turn the sign around when I divide by a negative 9/8. So the only one that is greater than 9/8 is 3. Okay? And now for the short answer questions. You'll have one tomorrow where you have to get it equal to 0. So that's the first step. So we're going to subtract 4x. Subtract 11, subtract 4x, subtract 11. We get x squared minus 6x plus 15 is equal to 0. Okay, so a is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 6, and c is equal to 15. All right, let's plug it into the quadratic formula. X is equal to negative 6 plus or minus the square root of negative 6 squared minus 4 times a is 1 and b is 15 all over 2 times 1. All right, negative 6 squared is 36. And negative 4 times 15 is negative 60. So we clean this up. A negative of a negative becomes positive 6, plus or minus 36 minus 16 is the square root of negative 24, all over 2. Okay, now we have to simplify the square root of negative 24. It becomes 4 times 6 is 24 times negative 1. All right, the square root of 4 can come outside now, so that's 2, right? The square root of -1 comes outside, that's I, and then the square root of 6 is left inside. So we end up with 6 plus or minus 2I square root of 6 all over 2. And again, this triangle here, I have the same one, so I could divide this by 2 is 3. By 2 is 1, and this is 1. So my final answer is 3 plus or minus I square root of 6. All right, and the last one is an inequality one. They want to know, they give you this function, and they say if c is equal to 3, are the zeros of f of x rational or irrational? So it's the nature of the roots. So we're going to get the determinant is equal to b squared minus 4ac. All right, a is equal to 4, b is equal to 7, and c is equal to 3. All right, for these to be, they give us c is equal to 3, right? So yeah, okay, we're good. So we're going to plug this in, and then we can tell the nature of the roots by what this discriminant is. So we have 7 squared minus 4 times 4 times 3. D is equal to 49 minus 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 3 is 48. So D is equal to 1. So that's a perfect square. 1 is a perfect square. So there's 2 irrational roots. So it's rational roots. Okay, so rational numbers. And then it says, determine all the values for which c for the graph of y equals f of x will have no y-intercept. So that means that the discriminant is going to be, which is b squared minus 4ac, has to be less than 0, right? If it's a negative number, it's imaginary, and then it doesn't cross the x-axis. So let's put in what we know. We know that b is 7 squared, right? 4, a is 4, and c is what we're looking for. All right, so this becomes 49 minus 16c is less than 0. Okay, now I'm going to subtract 49 from both sides. I get negative 16c is less than negative 49. And I'm going to divide by negative 16. So I get c, remember you got to turn the sign around, is greater than 49 over 16. Okay, and I put it in my calculator as a fraction, and it didn't reduce. So that's the final answer. All right, good luck tomorrow.